Earlier this year, Rihanna's makeup brand Fenty Beauty posted a picture of a model who went by the name Shudu, wearing their lipstick in the shade Saucy. It went viral, and Shudu had 90,000 followers by April. She became an inspirational public figure to many. A London-based model with username @theafrounicorn noted that it was inspiring to see a darker-skinned model celebrated in such a way. She represented someone stunningly beautiful, perfect in body and soul. After much debate regarding whether or not she was real, Shudu's creator, London-based photographer Cameron James Wilson, released the truth to the public. Shudu was his creation, his art piece that he was working on. In a statement, he says, "She is not a real model, unfortunately, but she represents a lot of the real models of today. There's a big kind of movement with dark-skinned models, so she represents them and is inspired by them."
Since this is a work of art and we realize that art is subjective, the opinions and reactions would too be subjective. Like any other artwork, mixed interpretations are expected. The responses to Shudu's reveal were both negative and positive. Some viewers even expressed anger towards his work due to their interpretation. He rebutted by stating his true message. "I'm not trying to replace models, and if anything, it's a criticism on how fake society has become that a CGI model can pass for real. Over time, the purpose of models has evolved from only a commercial tool to sell products into an ideal mold of modern-day beauty. We then questioned whether beauty standards changed along with modeling, or if beauty itself was the cause of this phenomenon. This then led us to wonder what beauty really is, an innate response or a social construct. Was it physical attraction, emotional reaction, or part of the human survival instinct? Also, how and what factors influence humans' perceptions of beauty to be different?" After heavy thought regarding the extraction of how beauty is functioned and is currently functioning in societies, we decided to dive deeper into understanding how does context change our perception of beauty. By looking through the lens of biology, it can be figured that beauty is innate because it serves a purpose. This area of knowledge presents the argument of, it's part of our nature, meaning it has been internally inscribed within beings since the beginning of time. Through an evolutionary perspective, the idea of beauty arises as a form of reason. Meaning, as our human ancestors in the far past discovered needs for survival, the solutions that they presented themselves with and fellow counterparts were to be practical and effective. For example, as survival was essential to all animals, so was the inevitability of evolution. Hand axes in the Neolithic period, as many as 8,000 years ago, were made on all continents. When they were excavated, almost all were made to show a similar pear-shaped edged design. But the fact is that none of these civilizations had contact and thus could not communicate their ideas. It becomes apparent that this design must have been an internal understanding of beauty fit for all kinds. Additionally, beauty is not only seen in tangible items, but also in an attraction towards life. The golden ratio is a mathematical pattern found consistently in nature. It's found in flowers, shells, hurricanes, galaxies, and even human faces. All of these aspects of nature share the same pattern created naturally and are presented in like manners. In the case of human faces, they have developed with similar patterns of symmetry that humans are innately drawn to, therefore perceiving this attraction as a result of beauty. Furthermore, the internal pull to certain landscapes has occurred throughout history in similar fashions for many civilizations. Many, if not all, long-lasting populations of humans and animals have emerged near a certain type of landscape. The fact is that they all include aspects like water sources, areas for shelter, and even sometimes a pathway, all of which typically include the same factors that relate to human instincts on survival. It's no coincidence that they all appear to provide feelings of security and life. Additionally, this coincides with landscape artwork that humans have created and been naturally drawn to for many years. Paintings, drawings, and other works depict similar features to those of which humans are generally attracted to. This gives a feel of natural beauty, in a sense that it directly relates to the pull humans have experienced based on what their instincts tell them about what landscapes they will most likely survive in. As populations and communities evolve from the far past to the present time, the idea of beauty has not been perceived as much a visual appeal as it has been a survival attraction. They've been drawn to certain aspects that would ensure the continuation of a species, and therefore making them inherently beautiful and have remained consistent throughout time. However, another look through a similar biological standpoint could show that beauty, while still innate in relation to survival, has the capacity to change as survival necessity has evolved. In the animal kingdom, beauty continues to exist for a purpose, that being sexual selection within a species. Given the example of the peacock, as time has passed, they have developed extravagant feathers to attract the females. However, this makes them much more obvious to predators, which appears to contradict survival. Therefore, their necessity of survival is more important to find a mate and breed rather than protecting their own life. Additionally, as humans have further evolved in ways that other animal species have not, they have faced changes that call for different survival necessities. Meaning that finding the most physically strong or fast male that will help in producing similarly strong and fast offspring is no longer the number one calling. The concept of beauty has evolved with them. And since beauty is ultimately subjective, humans have developed other, more in-depth attractions. Humor, intelligence, and personality have begun to be taken into account when searching for a mate, and not solely the physical survival traits. Not to mention nowadays there are a lot more fish in the sea. To sum it up in a bit, basically the main difference between this claim and the first is how the ingrained idea of beauty, or what they are drawn to, develops into what the creature sees fit at the time. As their needs change, that of which they originally found to be beautiful simply due to their nature might adjust to what is suitable to the current time and place or context. Ultimately, beauty can be looked at through a natural science lens involving biology as evolution and mathematics in nature. The idea of beauty could be shown to exist as a concept rather than something visible or tangible. Also, there can be multiple ways of looking at it. While still innate to a creature, it can remain as a constant impulse towards something over another because it is more quote-unquote beautiful. Or it can have the same effect, but as the being evolves, so does the attraction towards what it needs the most to satisfy their survival instincts.
On the other hand, there are others who claim that beauty is a product of the culture and context that people live in. Throughout history, human idea of beauty has evolved according to the preferences of people at the time. To analyze this, we must look at beauty through a sociological perspective. It is important to consider the development, structure, and functioning of the cultures in question. One way to measure the transformation of beauty in different eras and cultures is through the ideal female body types in history. For example, in ancient Greece, in the midst of flourishing fine art, women were considered disfigured versions of men. This very idea is reflected by the women's bodies in Greek sculptures and paintings, thereby idealizing the body type. Similarly, during the Italian Renaissance and Victorian England, plump women were the symbol of wealth and luxury. In both cases, traits that indicated health and youth were the most desired. Idealized beauty also varies from culture to culture, even in the same era. This is largely due to different lifestyles and traditions of different cultures. Where light skin is desired in some, dark skin is desired in others. Beauty can also be tied to objects or concepts. In China, for example, jade jewelry has been passed down by wealthy families as heirloom for centuries and represent a sign of wealth and status. These beauty standards have become even less natural and their popularity heightened by technological advancements. These create a sharp contrast with what is considered beautiful today, as the desired body type for women is most popularly slim but curvy, a standard that is naturally uncommon and is often achieved through plastic surgery. Programs like Photoshop and even simple editing apps are widely used in order to create the appearance of the perfect body all over the media, all the way from globally known celebrities to people's personal Instagram accounts. Language plays a critical role in the world's consumption of the ideals of beauty, particularly now where the same media is available to most people. The internet attaches the idea of perfection to the popular body type. In magazines and social media, phrases such as the perfect body, feel your sexiest, how to lose weight are pertinent. This emotionally laden language pushes readers towards their bias of beauty. As beauty magazines and a vast majority of the internet maintain a heavy focus on this particular concept of perfection, it is no wonder why it is so popular and similar today around the world. In other words, humans' beauty standards are ever-changing, meaning that beauty in a particular context and culture can be unique. To understand these alterations, a sociological lens must be applied. In addition, technological advancements have made the modern standards of attraction vastly different, as information can be spread easily across the globe, and there are manipulations of language that create bias for a certain ideal. For this reason, sharp contrasts can be drawn from beauty in history and beauty today. Also, in the sociological view, it can be argued that beauty is entirely subjective. As the common phrase goes, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Believers in this claim assert that the experience of beauty is a personal one. In this case, beauty is not shared knowledge among people. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, beauty is defined as the quality or aggregate of qualities in a person or thing that gives pleasure to the senses or pleasurably exalts the mind or spirit. Therefore, an individual is inclined to declare something as beautiful not only through their sense perception, but through the emotion that they get. This suggests that there are personality assets that create this concept of beauty in one's mind. For example, sense of humor, intelligence, and charisma in a person are factors that enhance their attractiveness. Conversely, negative personality aspects can deteriorate the attractiveness of a person, no matter how beautiful their features may be. Although attractiveness is not the same as beauty, they are undoubtedly associated with one another. This can be observed through celebrities' behavior and audience response. Charisma on Command is a YouTube channel dedicated to analyze what makes people charismatic and even attractive. Many celebrities are analyzed in this YouTube channel. Here's a clip of a breakdown of how Russell Brand flirts with women.
If you was on telly in my country when I was a teenage boy, it would mess me up.
In what way?
I think you're gorgeous.
Oh, thank you, Russell. It's very kind of you.
It ain't kind. It's just a bit rude. Take you in a shop.
And so that is a really, really classic push pull, right? Compliment there. He sort of baits the compliment, gives her the compliment, and then builds that tension for just a second and then sort of deflates it, going, it's just a bit rude, cracking a joke at himself. Now, a lot of people think the pushes have to be, a real push, like very aggressive. It sounds more than that. Really what a push does is it just kind of takes away that tension that is built by the compliment and allows you to move on. If Russell had just sat there, it might have been a bit awkward. But by doing that, creating the laughter, he allows for a comfortable segue into non-straight-up complimentary conversations.
Not surprisingly, language is a key element in this situation, and it is used to manipulate the emotion that people feel towards each other. Further, people's emotional responses are directly correlated with their past experiences, suggesting that memory plays a big role in this process as well. Consequently, because every person's pasts vary, all experiences of beauty will be varied too. Overall, the manifestation of beauty can be explained through the lens of sociology as well as a more subjective point of view. With the changing times, beauty has been seemingly changing too, adapting to the cultures, traditions, and trends. Due to technology and the media, there are striking contrasts with the beauty today and the beauty of past eras. On the other hand, it can be argued that beauty is a result of each person's individual background. Varied experiences create varied outlooks on beauty. Based on the developments and claims presented, we think it's safe to say that context heavily influences everyone's perception of beauty. There is not a concrete answer to the ancient question of nature versus nurture. Whether it be personal opinion or hegemonic thought, it all depends on a combination of both. As time has progressed, it has become apparent how the separation of societies has created different beauty standards and outward perceptions of it. But we also believe that a foundation of the idea of beauty has come from and remains ingrained within humans due to the innate instinct that comes from past experiences and is passed down through generations. Although it is true that both of these large implications have an influence in human perspectives of beauty, we cannot ever be certain of the measure of their actual impact. In other words, it is impossible to predict what any one person will find beautiful in their eyes. As much of an influence that human nature and social context may have on a person, in the end, it all comes down to their individual experience. So in the end, why is Shooter considered beautiful even though she is only CGI? Is it because of the movement with dark-skinned models of today, or is her complexion attractive because of our innate response to the certain shapes and patterns? In fact, it might be a combination of both. And when the subjectivity of beauty is added to the mix, the experience gets even more complicated. This explains why factors like current social issues affected people's perception of Shudu in a negative way. When looking at the larger scale, knowing the why behind what we find beautiful can shift our perspective in many ways, allowing us to comprehend not only the subject but ourselves as well. This can be applied to an infinite amount of real-life examples, such as appreciating artwork, interacting with others, and even finding our own self-worth. Although beauty is a vast, complicated subject, understanding how it implements itself into our lives can be very beneficial.